had a single marketeer on.
Surprising.
Moadh, welcome to the show.
I'm gonna try to say it with the Arabic letter.
Moadh. Is that good? Any better?
Like a 3 out of 10.
Yes. Did you stay in Mubadala that long because of the drink?
Yes. And people freaked. Like one girl fainted.
Really?
Like she just keeled over.
Was that because she saw you?
Well. Okay, question is, the agency makes the client or does the client make the... Ooh, because, you and I have been in this industry long enough. You can run 100 campaigns and it's as if you ran 0 campaigns.
For Emirates in particular, if they offered you a job CMO, would you take it?
Machine can't generate that idea for you. Only you can because you understand that client or you understand your brand or whatever.
As a marketeer in those instances, your job is to get them to not hate you.
What I think is the toughest job for any CMO is not to drive revenue, is not to do any of the things that we do day to day. The hardest thing is to transcend generations. Well, it's not as good as you, obviously.
Oh, Habibi, look at it. It's that off-the-cuff charm. It's that creative questioning.
It's useful.
Yeah. Today's guest is Moadh Bukhash. Moadh is the CMO of PureHealth and the former CMO of Emirates NBD. Today we talk all things marketing, sharing insights on who really calls the shots, his views on agencies, and the roles of creativity, data, analytics, and AI within the marketing mix. We also talk about what it's like to be part of an incredibly successful Bukhash family, which includes having Anas Bukhash as a brother.
My name is Moadh Bukhash. I'm from Dubai, from the UAE. I've born and raised here. We're talking about what it takes to get there. Your clients today, in the medium term, what can they expect? What does the world look like, and how is it going to change?
I felt like a failed creative in a sense, right? It's almost like what do they say? They say every failed actor is a movie critic. You need to know what you're talking about, right? If I'm sitting there on client side and I'm working with an agency or a producer or a director or whatever may be the case, sort of someone who's doing the production, I need to be able to speak their language. I need to be able to give them good feedback.
Moadh, welcome to the show.
I'm trying to say it with the Arabic letter.
Moadh. Is that good? Any better? Man, it's not easy Arabic.
It's one of the hardest names you'll probably come across.
Okay, I'll go one more time. Moadh.
Yeah.
Was that good?
Like a 3 out of 10.
Sorry. I love how we start the show.
We joke because we're friends.
That's okay. Well, you're an Arsenal fan, so I don't know how much we can joke, but we'll cover that.
We're used to the misery, so it's the hope that keeps you alive.
It is. And you brought that in on your mug, which by the way, I think it's the quickest I'm going to jump to the mug, just because we're talking about Arsenal. What is going on here? What's happening?
Lifelong Arsenal fan. I think my older brother, Anas, sort of got me started. He got into, I don't know if you're old enough to remember the 98 double and
Tony Adams coming up from the back and smacking it in against Everton 2-0.
Can you believe it?
There you go, man. There you go.
It's brilliant. So since then, golden age of Arsenal, we've seen them go through the Invincibles. For me, because I also started supporting them, it's been like 15, 16 or so.
Yeah.
And it was like the golden age of Arsene Wenger.
It was a good time back then.
It was a good time, and he's incredibly philosophical. And one of the players, I don't remember who it was who said it, but I can't agree with the statement more. He said he said it himself, actually. Wenger said it himself. He said, all the lessons and values I learned in life, I learned through football. And I think I learned, because of that age where you're a teenager, you're looking out to the world. You're
looking for role models. You're trying to figure out yourself.
Models, looking for your own values and sort of, your tribe. A lot of the values I learned through Arsene Wenger, and I think he was a bit of a father figure for a lot of us.
He was, and I think there's a lot of similarities with Jurgen Klopp when he came to Liverpool, and some of the impact that he's had on the club as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But look, it's a weird one because normally I ask my guest to keep the mug.
Well,
I don't know how I feel about having an Arsenal mug on my mantelpiece.
Like I said, I think we get along, Liverpool and Arsenal.
Yeah, there's not a lot of beef.
There's no beef, really.
There's not a lot of beef.
Think of one. Except the Suarez situation, but that was it.
Yeah, but that was a bit weird.
It
was cheeky.
It was weird.
Cheeky would be the word. But look, Liverpool had a great season last season.
Yeah, you did. Congrats.
Who's going to win the league this year?
Arsenal.
Really?
It had to be
really?
hopeful.
Do you even believe it anymore?
We're close, right? And I think...
You got further away last year than you did the year before.
To be fair, yeah, but we had a really bad year last year. I don't think there was much of a challenge for Liverpool, to be honest. I think you guys won it really early on.
It was pretty easy.
But I think, it's almost like when Klopp came to Liverpool, you guys had been like second a few times.
No,
right?
we were actually, when he came, I think we were 7th or 8th.
Yeah, and that you started
and then we started chipping away.
And I'm hoping, we're sort of at that precipice now with Arsenal.
Well, look, I would love to say I wish you luck with Arsenal season, but as long as you don't win as long as Liverpool win the league.
Look, I'll tell you, we'll make a deal. You take the Champions League, we'll take the league.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we can be cool with that.
We'll get the little guys, give them some hope. Look, we've known each other for a few years. We met back when we were both fresh-faced individuals, starting our career. You were at Mubadala at the time, 2012.
Right.
I was working at PhD.
Correct.
You were my client.
Yes.
And I used to love the drive up to Mubadala because you guys used to serve us the best drink ever.
I'm pretty sure they still have it too.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
All I remember, it was green, it was yellow and red or something. It was avocado. What was actually in it?
I think it was kiwi.
Okay.
Mango.
Yeah.
I'm going to say strawberry.
It was just so good.
Yeah, it was good.
Did you stay in Mubadala that long because of the drink?
Yes. To be honest, I mean, jokes aside, I think Mubadala is just a remarkable organization. I was really lucky to be there and to have spent the time that I did and to work on the types of projects that we worked on there. I think it was foundational. What's quite funny is actually when I joined Mubadala, I mean, it's such a household name now. I joined Mubadala in, I want to say 2011, around then. And before I had joined, the chief communications officer at the time had invited me to a team offsite. So I came into the team offsite just about to join the organization, just to get to know everyone and so on. And they'd presented a brand perception study, the first ever brand perception study the organization had made. And recall was at 7%. So 93% people had no idea what Mubadala was.
Yeah.
Which I think is just such a remarkable story of brand building because now, I mean, people would kill to work for Mubadala, right? It's just such a name you want to be associated with. And that didn't happen by accident, right? I think as a collective, the leadership team there, and then, at that time, obviously, we were all middle management. The efforts that we put into building the brand and the way that we went about it. Yeah. Because, I mean, essentially, Mubadala doesn't have a product to sell, right? It's not a consumer
But you
brand.
guys are everywhere at the same time.
Absolutely.
I mean, in so many different types of industries.
Yeah.
Aerospace.
I know.
It's nuts.
Don't remind me about brand architecture conversations.
I remember one time when I met you, I was like, explain what Mubadala is. And you were like, okay, let me get a pen and let's get a huge piece of paper and we're going to figure it out.
We're going to chart it out.
But I remember you guys were super smart people, super nice people. Yeah. That's why, I mean, to be fair, that's why you're here.
Absolutely.
I've met a lot of clients in my time. They're not always that nice. And they're not always that smart, but I'm really glad you're here.
I'm glad to hear.
And the building itself was just so impressive.
It was, yeah.
It is. State of the art.
They're still there. They're
And okay, so you left Mubadala, and then you did a couple of things before you ended up at Emirates NBD.
Yeah, so I was with Enoch right after Mubadala. So I took one of my goals was I don't really do long-term goals anymore because I just don't think they pan out. But at the time, I did have a goal in my 20s, and I said I want to be a head of a department before 30. And then Enoch came knocking, and I was 29. I was like, yeah, this is the time.
You tick that box.
I ticked that box. So I stayed at Enoch for about 5 years. It was an incredible experience. I had some oil and gas experience when I was so my last role at Mubadala was in the energy platform. So most of the time I was at Mubadala, I was in corporate brand. And then for the last, I want to say maybe a year and a half, we worked on the energy platform, which included Masdar, Mubadala Petroleum, and a few other oil and gas assets. So I got some level of oil and gas exposure. And then Enoch came knocking, and that was my next adventure. So I spent over 5 years there.
That's a good amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think 5 years is a sweet spot. I think it's a good amount of time to
You can affect change, you can do some stuff.
It's not too soon. I mean, naturally, I always want to stay as long as I'm happy, really, because I think I've been fortunate and unfortunate in a sense to have gone through a lot of experiences with many organizations. I mean, I was in Dubai Holding, Sema Dubai. I don't know if you remember this organization. There's a company called Sema Dubai, not the TV channel.
I don't. Sema, yeah, I know Sema the TV, but I don't know.
Not Sema Dubai the TV. Okay. Sema Dubai, a real estate developer under Dubai Holding.
Okay.
So we had what is now Dubai Creek's harbor. Mm-hmm. Is that it? It used to be called the Lagoons. And it had just these two twin towers designed by Zaha Hadid that were just out of this world.
Beautiful.
Anyway, that perhaps was one of the best, if not the best culture I had worked in. So it was an incredible organization. The culture was amazing. Everybody was entrepreneurial. It was like such a electric time to be in Dubai, particularly in real estate. And then 2008, 2009 happened. So real estate crash, global crash. And I had to see 800 of my colleagues get fired like that overnight.
Out of how many?
Out of 1,000 maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the vast majority. Legal team stayed back. A few of us had stayed back. But I think it was such a life-changing moment for me that grass is not always greener. Appreciate what you've got, have some level of gratitude. I see people in my team or colleagues jump and jump and jump, thinking the grass is always greener. And maybe sometimes it is, maybe sometimes it does sort of work out better for you. But I think, one of the lessons I thankfully picked up early on is recognize the value that you sort of have at the moment. But going back to your, what makes a great culture? There's a lot. I mean, I don't know, man. It takes a lot to put together something that I think is enjoyable. And I think, you and I could maybe enjoy things a bit differently. Maybe I'm introverted and you're extroverted. You want people that are very outspoken, and I want people that just sort of leave me out. It could be different things for different people. But I think in the end, if I'll take it back to Arsenal here, there's two things that Arteta, our current manager, says it's respect and passion. Right, so we all respect each other. We've all got valid opinions, regardless of your seniority, and you create an open system and transparent system, a sort of environment where people feel safe enough to even be wrong, right? And I think that maybe is another lesson.
They feel that they have the space, freedom to fail,
and empowered, right? And I think who was it? Steve Jobs that said, right, hire people that tell you what to do rather than tell them what to do, and I think that plays a big role in creating a fun and interesting culture. And then passion, right? And I think that's almost like an amalgamation of a number of things, right? So people that work hard, people that really put their heart into it, people that really want to cross that line and do more than just sort of the status quo.
Yeah.
Particularly in marketing, I think that really, really matters, right? And, I've had this conversation with some of my team members and friends and so on. I say, look, if you're in accounting or legal, you don't want creative auditors, right? You don't want creative accountants. That's how you go to jail. So you want people that are very process oriented and, do things methodically and never leave anything out. Structured, thorough, A to Z type of people. Engineers, or sort of the engineering mentality. Because they can build bridges, right? You ask a marketing person to build a bridge, he'll build 10% of it and then, I don't know, do something else, right? But I mean, just going back to the point, I think the passion element in marketing is what sets you apart.
Yeah.
Because, you and I have been in this industry long enough. You can run 100 campaigns and it's as if you ran 0 campaigns, right? It's not just because I ran 100 campaigns, it's going to work, right? It's not as simple as I do 100 audits. I can do 100, contracts with the legal department. It'll be 100 contracts. It'll all work, but not in marketing. In marketing, there's always that edge, right? And you can't get that edge if you're not passionate about what you do, right? If you're just sort of showing up every day,
And the thing is that passion is waning, Moadh. It's waning with every generation. I'm feeling it. Less and less people are actually getting into marketing and into media agencies or creative agencies because things have changed, which we will cover. Yeah. Before we go any further, I usually ask my guests for a safe word. If they don't want to answer a certain question, what's your safe word?
Zebra.
Why?
Seems out of place,
Are you out of place?
No, the word is out of place, but if I say it, it'll...
But where's the insight? Talk about the insight, why you chose zebra.
To be honest, I was looking at a zebra painting today.
Oh, okay. All right. Was it a nice painting?
So I've got this...
It's very black and white, right?
It's black and white. I've got a black and white home.
Okay.
So most of my house is monochromatic. And then I've got this huge shot of... sort of a dark shot of a lady's half body. So you sort of see her legs and there's shadows crossing her and she's sleeping among zebras.
Yeah.
So she kind of looks like a zebra.
Are you a black and white person?
Generally, yeah. Not in life, but in design, yes.
Okay, in life, you operate in the grey?
Hopefully, I'd like to be more nuanced than that.
I mean, in marketing, do you have to operate black or white, or do you have to be in the grey and be an Excel at that?
Good question.
Thanks, mate. I hope that'll be the first of many today.
No, I'm sure it is. It's funny, right? Because I think, is the role of the CMO to just be a platform, right? To create a space for everybody to add their value? Yes, absolutely. And I think the vast majority of the time I try to do that. But I think you do have to be a bit of a dictator sometimes. I don't say dictator, but I think I want to be very opinionated because I know, hopefully, that's why I've been given the job. I know the difference between mundane and great, right? I know what sort of crosses that line, and you just have to make it that way.
And that word, is that word creativity, between mundane and great?
Yeah. Inspiration, maybe.
You come from a very creative family.
Yeah.
You're one of 7 brothers?
3 full brothers.
Okay.
And then I've got half siblings from either parent.
Obviously, Anas is obviously
Anas is my older brother.
Relatively famous person.
Yeah.
Does a lot of podcasting work. What's it like also having a very famous mum as well? I know your dad does a lot of work in restoration and spas as well. So your family is incredible, man. What is that like being part of that? Do you feel very much you're in a kind of glass bowl, everyone's sort of looking at what you're doing?
Thankfully not me.
Okay. So you've escaped that somehow.
I'm a middle child, right? So I think I'm quite a classic middle child, right? So I don't like the spotlight as much.
But it suits you, can I say? Honestly, it suits you.
Appreciate it. I
think you're very comfortable on camera. You're very, very comfortable on camera.
With practice, though, I think this is like my presentation skills advice to anyone is just practice. Like I remember being in college, I was nervous. Like our presentation skills professor just asked us to go up on in front of the class and say, like, what's your name? Where are you from? And, a hobby or something like that. And people freaked, like one girl fainted.
Really?
Like she just keeled over.
Was that because she saw you?
Well.
I'm feeding the ego right now. I love it. But you're a good-looking man, my friend. You're a good-looking man. And I think when you get to a certain age, when you're in your 40s, men don't say that to other men so much. Do you know what I mean? But we need to hear it from time to time.
Just
I
say
don't
it.
know, man. I don't know.
Likewise.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're looking better than I saw you, 15 years ago or so.
I left media. That's probably why.
Definitely a very stressful job. I will say I do enjoy that I'm like famous by association rather than famous. Right? I don't want to be like, I love going to the supermarket, my shorts, I don't want to be recognized. But it does help a lot of times. It breaks the ice a lot of times.
Does it?
I was with a few, not to be named government officials. And it was a very sensitive meeting for one of my employers. And as soon as I walked in, the most senior person on their side said, Anas' brother? I said, yeah. It's like, oh, okay. And then
does it annoy you a little bit?
No.
Does it?
No, I think it helps. It smoothens it.
But when you get referred to sometimes as Anas' brother, doesn't it bother you?
It's good that he's my older brother, and I have a lot of respect for him, and I'm proud, really, to have him as my.
He should be.
He's a great. I mean, you guys maybe see him on his podcast or on his talk show. I've seen him since we were babies, right? And I think one thing I will definitely say is he embodies that older brother role. Yeah. Really, really well.
When you go on other people's podcasts, is it a weird thing? Do you kind of have to not ask permission, but you kind of let them know?
Advice.
You ask his advice.
Should I do this one? I don't know the best ones. I didn't ask him about you because you're my friend.
Well, you know me, man. I hope you know what I'm about. But look, I'm very happy to have you on board. I do want to talk about marketing. I mentioned off camera. I haven't had other than I did a live event in Qatar with a web summit. We did a live stream with the CMO. I haven't had a single marketeer on.
Surprising, huh?
Yeah, this is what season 4. Look, it would have been very easy for me to have left the marketing world and only focus on marketing conversations and insights. The word insight for me came from marketing. You can't have a great campaign without great insight. That insight gives the idea hopefully delivers and kicks some ass. So insight is built in, and I always try and approach things from a marketing angle, but to talk pure marketing, I didn't want to just be into that because honestly, I'm a curious person, and after 20 years working in marketing, I don't have many more questions left. Right? Yeah. But things have moved on a bit, and you and me, there's always been a slightly different angle in terms of how you think, which I really respect. And I sort of said as part of your introduction, you're extremely passionate about what you do, and you are a big believer in a lot of things that I believe in when it comes to marketing, which is big funnel stuff, top funnel stuff, big ideas, rather than all those kind of micro optimizations, which the market has become obsessed about over the last 10 years.
Yeah, because it's measurable.
Yeah, so digital really killed us, I'll be honest. Digital media
for a while
killed innovation.
I think it's sort of coming back now.
You think so?
I will tell you why, but...
Okay. So what are you up to at PureHealth? What's going on at PureHealth?
Fascinating. I think it's just such a fascinating organization. I think we've had such a great story. The growth of the organization has been so rapid. I've never seen anything like it. And we are founder run, right? Which is a first for me.
Yeah.
I've never worked for another, aside from, I don't say founder, but in Mubadala, of course, His Excellency Khaldun Mubarak is managing director. And he was among the first ones to start what offsets what eventually became Mubadala. But I've never been in a group where my CEO is like started the company. It's like their company.
The OG.
Yeah. Which I think, I think is just fascinating.
So
really.
What's it like working for a founder versus working for a...
Very entrepreneurially minded.
Okay.
Right. So I've worked for, let's pick oil and gas. Oil and gas by design, and for a very good reason, because there's human life at play here, are very conscientious, process-oriented, safety-first mentality type of organizations, right? So innovation isn't like the number one thing, and any idea you have, even if you're a very open-minded CEO or a very open-minded leadership team, you will want to study, do your due diligence, and do all of that, right? Before you take a step. Whereas I think an entrepreneurially minded organization is very first principles. So it's like try it, off you go. If it doesn't work out, it's fine, we'll pivot, we'll change, we'll do something. But it's very much go. Which for my personality works really well.
So I tried that, and I do know the difference. I worked 1 year as a consultant for a sort of a startup or a scale-up company, working directly with the founders. Their energy levels are something else, and their ideas, it's like 1,000 ideas. I'm like,
stop, right?
I'm just like, I know. I'm like, guys, chill. Take it easy.
It's in their nature. I think it won't change.
It's very different versus corporate culture, where you have an idea, you kind of feel a little bit not put off, but if it does ever come across or it comes to light, it will be 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the line, and it'll be much more watered down and very far from the original idea in the first place. So it's a very different type of mindset.
It is. It's interesting.
From a marketing perspective, taking a sort of like 35,000 sort of feet view, when you look at marketing at the moment in 2025, and when I say marketing, I'm including advertising, I'm including content, I'm including media, PR, the whole mix.
Right.
What is your sense of where marketing is at this year, and in general, and where it's headed?
Let me start with healthcare, because that's where I'm at now. I think it's a very interesting time. Because so much is, marketing is always the first to be disrupted. This has been the story of my life. Like I studied marketing. We didn't have social media. That's how far back we go. But it's constantly being disrupted, right? I think it was first the metaverse, and then it was, this, or it was that. And then obviously machine learning changed a lot. The digital marketing changed a lot. And then now we have creation tools that are going to change that a lot. And I think this is maybe the most impactful change we're going to see, because big agencies will need to find a way, because if they don't find a way, they're going to end up like the news channels.
Find a way to what? Articulate.
Operate. I mean, you're so top line heavy as a big agency. And I think you're sort of managing this mass of people, and you're just looking for retainers to manage your cash flow, which I get, right? That's the model that's worked for decades. But I don't think it's going to be like that anymore. I don't think you need to hire one. I don't think, at least you don't need to hire much anymore. I think your game will be much more on networking and having a pool of talent, sort of like a creative commune in a sense. And your job will be to say, well, this is our track record. This is what we've done for X, Y, Z client, all well and good, which agencies do now. But the team I'm going to put together isn't just my people, right? Or from my network, or someone I'm going to import from, another country. I think it's going to be much more about finding individual independent talents, because I think individual independent talents don't need an agency anymore. You can be a one-person shop that produces content and, do the whole bit by yourself, whether you're using, video generation tools, image generation tools, content generation tools, or whatever may be the case. And, I'm big on this space, so I've got plenty of tools if you'd like to hear about them. But I think, there is a shift of people leaving agencies and leaving corporations and just doing their own thing, right? And being, freelancers for hire, essentially. And I think they don't need to be attached to an agency or a large organization so that they can afford that production facility, or they can afford that machine, or they can afford that camera, or the crew, or the whatever. So there's a double pressure happening, right? The pressure is on the agencies to not have so much overhead, because I'll tell you today, if I spend what I used to spend on campaigns or on film production or whatever, I could do 4 or 5 times that today, right? Because cameras like your cameras here are way more than good enough for absolutely the majority of the content that you're going to produce, which largely is on social.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, unfortunately, I miss them, But we don't do these like cinematic 90-second TVCs as much as we used to do, right? Yes, we'll do them on occasion. We'll do them for occasions. But really, if I'm going to drive revenue, it has to be on scale.
Yeah.
It can't be just this one piece that I generate once a year, because people's attention spans don't last.
So you talked a lot about sort of the market from an agency perspective and kind of what they need to do. From a marketeer. So now if you were to judge all marketeers,
Right.
what is your view on how marketeers are kind of operating? And how has that changed, and how will it change potentially in the future?
I mean, this is going to flow into the AI conversation naturally. Look, I think, I'm a big proponent of big futurist, or a futurist fan, let's just say, right? So all the dystopian shows I've watched. But I mean, jokes aside, I think there will no longer be so much friction in getting things over the line. Where there will continue to be friction until we get AGI, maybe, is on inspiration, on creativity, on concepts, on ideas, right? That machine can't generate that idea for you. Only you can, because you understand that client, or you understand your brand, or whatever. So the need for marketeers, even today, not just tomorrow, but starting today, will not be about, can I shoot that? Can I generate that article? Can I produce the social carousel or whatever? That's like the easy part. That's the menial job that AI is going to take over first. What's going to be retained by humans, at least for now, is the human inspiration, sort of that human ingenuity that comes out of it, right? So they call it prompt engineering, you call it whatever you want. But really, it's the idea of creating ideas, right? Which, by the way, as a marketeer myself, this is like music, right? Because I don't have to worry about, the sort of the logistics and artworking and fixing this and changing that and adjusting that grid or whatever may be the case. Really, I just want to spend my time thinking, what's the best thing that I could do for this brand, right? What's the greatest idea that I can come up with that will create some level of virality or create something that sets itself apart from the rest of the clutter. But I do think there's a counter issue here, is that because the tools have become so accessible, I think I'm listening to a podcast at the moment, and he's sort of talking about the idea that there's just so much AI generated spam content on the internet now.
It's all BS, mate. It's all BS,
right?
It's all BS.
And a lot of that is just clutter.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you cut through, I think, becomes a challenge.
And what you're seeing also is humans trying to act up as well. So if it's not AI, the humans, what they're trying to do now is to increase their level of BS, because they basically want to try and compete
with AI. Right?
And it's just creating more and more nonsense.
It is.
And there's the reality, if you're looking at authenticity or reality on a chart over time.
It's got to be like that.
Yeah,
right?
and it's kind of going in line with social media. So as social media sort of kicked off and took off, you've seen the sort of the authenticity sort of plummet. Everyone always posts about positive stuff. Brands always post about amazing, shiny things, not about the reality. Yeah. From a marketeer's perspective, you've been selling utilities for quite some time. How difficult is that to get a brand, like a utility brand, like a petrol station, right? Oil and gas company, a bank,
would be the same,
or whatever,
banks would be the same.
for a consumer to fall in love with you, because you're there to build brand love as a marketeer, ultimately, as well as to help shift and sell.
Okay, so if we're going to talk pure utility, so because banks are a bit of both, right? If you talk about private banking, then it's not a utility, right? That private banking client is millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire. They, like, you go to Chanel, you don't want to be in and out of the Chanel store as soon as possible.
You want your coffee, you want to take a few photos,
right? All of that, right?
Maybe do a few little cheeky selfies, tell everyone you're there.
You have time, and you're willing to give time, because this is like a luxury that you're partaking in. Whereas utilities, so take a petrol station, like filling up your car, or a SIM card for your phone, or insurance. That's a great example. Banks on the retail side, for sure. These are utility brands, and I've for some reason, I've found myself in utility brands quite a lot.
You're black and white then. We already covered it.
No, I'm no longer in that. I've taken the complete opposite type of role now in healthcare, because I think that's an entirely different scenario. You see, utility brands, I think if you are running a utility brand, this is my advice. Try not to be a hero. Don't be the hero. Nobody thinks you're the hero, right? So I'll give you a small example. I'd speak to like the head of auto loans, like car loans at the bank. And for good reason, because they've worked so hard on their product or whatever it is. They want their product to shine like it's the greatest loan of all time. But my argument to that is someone buying a car actually doesn't want you in the room. If they had the money, they wouldn't be here, right? Why would they ask for a loan if they had cash? So you're like a necessary evil, kind of, right? Or a necessary enabler. So recognize that you're the wind beneath the wings of them getting the car. The car is the hero, not the loan, right? The person wants the car. And embody that. So we came up with this model on the retail banking side, the 3 Fs. To be fair, either I saw this in a dream or I saw somebody saying it. I don't remember where it came to me. Maybe I came up with, I don't know. So if I'm taking it from somewhere, I apologize. But the idea was the 3F model is what you need to be focused on when it comes to utility brands: fast, frictionless, and friendly. If you can achieve those 3 things, you're set.
Yeah.
Right? Because you open that bank app and you want to transfer money to your parents or your friends or whatever, you don't want to spend time on that. You just want to get it out of the way, right? You want to go into the petrol station. Why would you want to stay there? You want it fill
really, as a marketeer in those instances, your job is to get them to not hate you. It's not to love you.
Yeah,
it's to
tolerate. To tolerate.
That's it.
I mean, if you look into any local telecom company or an oil and gas company or an insurance company, on their social media, I invite you to go to the comment section.
I did. So I had Osman Sultan
Great guy.
episode, yeah. So, and I asked him, because 15 years running Do, and Do had terrible customer service back then. Everyone was complaining on social media, and I asked him about the question, and he told me he took it really personal because he was the CEO. Do you ever feel, as a CMO for any company, you take things extremely personal?
You should. We talk
Is
about
that
passion,
that's
right?
part of the passion, right? And respect, and it's respect to the brand that you work for.
Who's the brand custodian? The CMO. Right? The CMO is a caretaker for a brand, and
not the CEO.
I mean, eventually, yes, of course, but day to day, the CMO is running that stream. And I think, again, I've been lucky and privileged to have worked for like national champion brands in this country, right? Mubadala being one, Enoch being another, Emirates NBD being another. So I feel a sense of responsibility. I feel a sense that I've been given this great honor and responsibility for managing the reputation of these massive organizations that have grown out of the country and have a global stage to play on.
How proud are you to be Emirati and working in marketing?
I'm lucky.
Do you feel like Emiratis, with Dubai being such a powerhouse when it comes to branding, they kind of go sort of hand in hand?
Yeah, I think so.
In a way, there's the welcoming, there's the hosting, there's the respect component that you talked about, there's the passion bit.
Correct.
Emiratis built for marketing?
I don't know if it's like a nationality thing. But I think if you grew up in Dubai, when I grew up in Dubai, you definitely picked up a few marketing skills, right? Because I grew up in Dubai and it was unknown.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what Dubai was. There was a Gulf War in '91. And if we traveled to the UK or the US, people are like, where are you from? I'd be like, I'm from the UAE. And where's that? I'm like, that war? Like, yeah, they're like close by. And now it's quite the opposite. And now I have to explain to people Dubai is not the country. Actually, Dubai is part of the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah. It's not even the capital. And a lot of people want to move here.
Yes.
Again, because it's such a powerful brand. Yeah. How far should marketing go in business? Like, what is I know like you're a little bit biased because you are CMO, but realistically speaking, how big a part is marketing in driving company growth, company culture, company success?
Should it be or is?
Is and should. Do both.
Is differs, right? Because I think...
Don't play it safe.
No, it's fine. I mean, I think some CEOs are more inclined and more naturally inclined towards marketing and communications and reputation management, whereas others are maybe more operationally focused and they just leave that to the CMO. I found that the CEOs that I've worked with that have a penchant for marketing is the most fun I get to have.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to translate.
And that mindset is more growth driven.
More growth driven. They see things from a reputational angle. They'll fight that fight for you before you need to fight it.
Nice.
And you're not always in every conversation that they're in. So if you feel like your leader has you on their mind, is like standing up for you, then I think that's something that is invaluable. Really.
Hi everyone, I really hope you're enjoying the episode so far. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Throughout my career, I've met a lot of people that have anxiety when it comes to public speaking. If you're someone that has that anxiety or nervousness and has always wanted to be more confident in public speaking, but you're also not sure where to go or how to start, The good news is I might be able to help. I have 20 years experience working in corporate communication. I'm a former regional CEO and I've helped to win over 80 different clients through new business pitches. With so many online trainings based on theory, I wanted to share what's helped me in the business world. I've launched my own training program called Master Pitch. This 7-module course covers everything you need to know, whether it's learning how to really understand the audience, how to deliver real impact, or how to effectively storytell. I've got it covered. With practical tips and real examples, you can immediately start turning that anxiety into confidence. Also, in a world of AI, there's never been a more important time to invest in your personal brand and in developing your public speaking. For more information, go to lucaallam.com or drop me an email at info@lucaallam.com. Right, let's get back to the episode. Show is yours. 8 questions.
There we go.
8 golf balls. Take the bag away one by one. Let's get through all 8.
Let's do a bit of branding, guys.
But flip it the other way. What does it say? No, lift that up. Yeah. The other way.
Insights inside.
There you go.
As I pick these up, I'll say, insight and inspiration are actually the same thing. Or not the same thing, but rather inspiration comes from insight.
So I talk on my website, I talk about insights, impact, inspire.
I like
so
it.
Inspire is the sort of the culmination of both. If you have insights and you can deliver with impact, you can inspire a lot of people.
I like that.
Mate, thanks for plugging my website. Check out lucaallam.com. Thank you so much.
It's a good thing I'm in marketing.
One at a time.
Okay. So this one says, industry awards, recognition for creativity or creatively delivered case studies.
Yeah, so this is about industry awards.
Right.
When you win an award,
yes,
or when you go to the award ceremonies, are they just being all manufactured case studies to win an award, or is actual recognition of the creativity itself?
So I've had the pleasure of serving on a few judging panels for some of our larger award programs. So I'd like to think that we're all quite objective. The process is, particularly for the bigger ones, audited. So we had someone from PwC sitting on all our meetings.
Okay.
Nobody was from the actual publication.
That's always going to be the case, yeah. That's always that.
And they collect industry leaders. Now, that's on the judging side. So we will hopefully be as objective as possible. I'm generally tougher than most judges.
You're a pretty tough client. You were one of those clients who were really, really friendly, but at the same time, like you'd make us work. You'd make us work really hard.
Yeah, but that's you're not going to be the best otherwise, right? 100%. Like if you want mundane, find another CMO. I think on the judging side is there. I will say I have been in many conversations with agencies where I had to really tell them off for not even thinking about me. And I'm not going to name the agency. They're a great agency, to be fair. Just as one individual pissed me off. And they were pitching, or not pitching, they were presenting a concept for one of our films. And I had feedback and we were going back and forth and I said, that's not a great idea. Why don't you do this? And we're just going through the storyboard. And then he stopped and said, but then how can we submit this? I said, wait, I'm sorry, is the award paying your retainer? Because I'm not aware that the award's actually paying your retainer. But that is maybe the dark side of having.
Agencies are obsessed with awards. Let me tell you off the bat.
For good reason.
They'll say they're not, but they actually are.
Everyone is, and I think on a human level, if I gave you a trophy, you'll take it. Right? I mean, that's just a normal thing for any person. But I think it's knowing your priorities. Right? Do the good work, and the awards will follow.
Yeah, I've seen some. Look, I've been in a lot of award ceremonies where we were looking at the winning video. They always play the video if they win a gold, whatever the case is, and none of us have seen this campaign.
Yeah,
they package an amazing case study, and literally maybe 5 people saw it, and yet somehow it will win an award. I'm like, this is just.
It's what is the award for, also, right? Because this is one of the things. To be fair, I've done Campaign Middle East awards for a few years. The first time I did it, the submissions were poor. Like poor. We did this and that, 1-page Word documents. There was nothing tangible. And look, I come from a brand background, so creativity is everything to me, right? Design thinking is everything to me, but not at the cost of impact. Otherwise, what the hell are you here for? Right? All due respect, you can create this beautiful art mural, But if it doesn't get people to buy that product, then you're not really a marketing person.
100%.
Right?
What was the last great piece of advertising that you saw outside of what you're doing at PureHealth or even at EMBD?
I've seen plenty of bad ones.
Yeah, but what is, because that's the thing that I've realized. As a kid, I grew up and I remember these ads were so impactful. And they've stayed with me now. I can reel off 3 or 4 ads that I was blown away by. Now, I can't remember really great advertising anymore. And I think that's where the magic, I generally believe the magic is gone out of marketing and advertising. And what's replaced it is numbers, is data, and it's accountability.
I think there's a lot of that. And I take part in the CMO panels, CMO interviews every now and again. And then when I see the results, I will say, I'm hopeful, maybe I'm optimistic or naive, but I think it's shifting back. I think we've had like 10 years of like hyper lower funnel obsession, which fair enough, because I remember, a day where you'd put an ad in the newspaper and like, hope somebody sees it, find some kind of attribution model that can measure whether somebody called that number or whatever. So I'm glad that we're actually much more measurable, because I don't have to argue with my CEOs anymore on like, what are you spending money on, right? So at least we're accountable, but I think there needs to be a healthy balance. Maybe 80% of your spend, if you're a consumer brand, should be accountable, and 20% should just be on top funnel, brand building, name
fun
recognition.
Stuff. Cool stuff.
Billboard, whatever it is, right? It's just top of mind stuff.
That's media, you're talking about media, but from a mindset perspective, it's very different. So you can deploy media by saying, right, you know what, 80% let's go bottom funnel, 20% top funnel, mid funnel, but creatively, what are you doing with that 80%? And creatively, what are you doing with that 20%? The
problem is, right, if you're going to be only focused on lower funnel stuff, you're going to be a schizophrenic brand in like 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're chasing trends.
Yeah.
You're not building a brand.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk. Be built short term.
I don't want to talk too much about bottom funnel because there might be a cheeky ball coming soon. But on creativity, also, where does authenticity and truth play in the role of awards?
People can smell it, to be honest, right? People can smell fakery anywhere. Like you could always spot it. People have a really good scent for fakery. You don't have to bother. People always smell it out, even if it seems charming at first. Eventually they'll figure it out. So I think just be authentic, right? Just be honest to what you do, who you are, what kind of content. I saw this great TikTok account of, I want to say like, I don't know, somewhere in the Midlands, in the U.S. Midlands rather, Minnesota, I don't know, something. Car dealership, right? Like a used car dealership. Like it's the most generic type of job, right? Where it's just salespeople there ripping you off. But they hired this young social media manager or marketing manager, like it's all in one person. And she was a huge fan of The Office. So she
US The Office.
Either
one.
Yeah. The British is better, but don't shoot me.
Not on this show.
Ricky Gervais, it's just on a different level,
Yeah.
But anyway, she created a TikTok account for this car dealership, and every day she posts like 2 or 3 clips of office style footage, the awkwardness, the cheekiness, sort of the silence, no laughs or whatever. And she just blew up. Yeah. There's no cost, no nothing, just inspiration, just a great idea where you didn't expect it, and it blew up. I think it's just like 1 million followers now, right? So, it's that type of thing that excites me, because that person is capable of creating a very successful social media page for near to no cost, because she had a great idea, right? And all the tools are there to help her realize that idea. But she doesn't need to hire a production crew. She does, all due respect to the production crew here. But I think that the ease of crossing that line is just getting easier and easier.
I agree.
Okay, next one. Is it true or false that our intuition as marketing or marketeers is being chipped away by data? There has to be a role for intuition. I don't think you should be blind to data. I don't think you should be blind to insights.
Give me a pie chart. How much is data focus? How much is intuition?
80 on data.
80 data. So you can stick with the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, 70 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think you have to be grounded.
The other issue is within that 70, just because you can measure data doesn't mean you should give it the same weight.
No.
And a lot of people misappropriate data weightage. And that's also a part of the issue which will impact the remaining 30.
You have to peel that onion a bit further, right? How is that research being collected? How are the questions phrased? What kind of point scale do you have to put? Like people use 5-point scales or 10-point scales, which are a terrible idea because people always have central tendency. Or they'll come to Emiratis, and I know the Emiratis quite well, and they'll do CAPI research, so computer assisted, it's online. No one's going to answer that properly.
Yeah.
No one's going to be actually subjective. They always lie. Just click it because there's an incentive. They'll get like $2, $10 or whatever, right? So, the method and mechanism for research and data gathering has to be scrutinized as a first step. And then 2, you also have to be humble enough to know just because you were right 10 times out of 20 doesn't mean you're going to be right the next time. I've been wrong plenty of times. Plenty of times I thought, this ad's not going to work, right? It's so boring, it's so cliche, it's so this, it's so that, it's whatever. Or it's too difficult to understand, it's too elitist. I've been wrong plenty of times. We just run an ad and it flies off, right? So, I think there has to be a healthy balance. I think, I don't want to say a particular number because I'm just, putting it out of my head at the moment. But I think, start with data because that sets the scene.
Can you inspire people by basically focusing on a data-focused strategy? So if you're a marketeer and you're like, right, Mr. Agency, Mrs. Agency, this is what we're going to do because this is what the data says. How does the agency respond to that?
How do you read it, right? It's not the data. So we had a huge user base, a huge customer base. And we're constantly fighting with our competition to attract their customers to our organization. But then we realized about 35% or so of our existing user base are dormant. So over a third of our own customer base,
That's a lot,
are asleep or like very minimally active, right? What's the acquisition cost for a current customer versus a new to organization customer? 0. They're there. You've got the email address, you've got the Emirates ID, you've got whatever it is, right? So you've got so that's the data. Data is like 35% boring. But like, what do you do with it? Now I have to shift my entire marketing strategy to say, let's internally market. Why bother the running ads? Why bother trying to attract and paying over the odds to attract customers from outside and acquisition costs go crazy? You don't need that. You want to crush your acquisition costs and have a very easy to activate customer, they're right there sitting.
I guess it only works if you have the volume to do that.
Yeah.
If that 35% is of...
Yeah, but I'm giving you an example of, that's where the data points. Now, what do I do with it? Right? How do I create something creative out of it?
Yeah. But intuition is not based on data so much.
I'd like to think it's a layer on top. I'd like to think. I mean, I think
because the definition of creativity is something new.
We don't even know where it comes from.
Yeah, but it's basically bringing two things together.
Yeah, lateral
right?
thinking.
Yeah,
right?
and you're creating something that hasn't been created
Correct.
beforehand,
In
right?
that sense, yes.
There isn't data so much that there may be data saying creative ideas work, but not data that will suggest that this particular idea is going to work.
No, not in that sense.
So that way,
I don't like it. Sort of like that predictive analysis is always tricky, right? But if historical analysis is great, right? Because I can know that, I don't know, for some reason in September, our sales seem to shoot up. So let me align my marketing calendar to that and then, sort of ramp up in that, whatever it is, right? So that's why I said earlier, in my opinion, I think you start with insight and that's where your inspiration comes out of because it's hard to be inspired or creative in a completely blue ocean, right? In a completely blank space. You have no idea where things sit, right? So you need some level of compartmentalization, some level of context setting. And then you say, oh, here's something that we could do. Oh, here's something that happened. Or here's a case study I saw in a different industry that I could.
Is there a brand that you've seen for a long time that you've always said, you know what, I love the way these guys do things?
I mean,
off the cuff.
Emirates is the obvious example.
Emirates, you go again?
It's just a brilliant brand. Brilliant brand. I think it's funny, right? It's like a national carrier that built the Dubai brand to a large extent.
Yeah, of course. I had Haitham Mattar, who is he's the managing director, CEO of Intercontinental Hotels Group, and I met him on Saudi Tourism Authority days, and he also ran Ras Al Khaimah Tourism Board.
Okay.
And he always says that get the airline right, tourism is gonna.
That's the kind of industry you're building. Right?
It's always about inbound tourism via the airline. Yeah. You can't have, and that's why I think Saudi has struggled. And Riyadh has struggled for, and that's why they're obviously relaunching a brand new airline. Right. But that's why Emirates has done such a fantastic job. Etihad has done such a great job. Qatar Airways has done a great job. So this region is phenomenal when it comes to airlines. But Emirates in particular, if they offered you a job CMO, would you take it?
Yes.
I love that.
Maybe at some point.
I love that.
At some point, I don't. I think I love you guys at PureHealth.
But it's a great brand.
I think sometime in my career, it would be an honor. Really, I would love to just because I have it's such a soft part of my heart.
Yeah, there aren't many brands I would want to work for as well. Emirates would be up there. And that's because they've been able to inspire, right? They've been able to sort of get people to dream that this is a great brand to work for, just because of the work they've done.
You know, I think now that I'm starting to get a bit older, I recognize now that what I think is the toughest job for any CMO is not to drive revenue, is not to do any of the things that we do day to day. The hardest thing is to transcend generations. Because I could say, you know, whatever, millennials, I've done this job, I've like created a brand that really resonates with them. Their kids are going to hate that brand just by the virtue of being teenagers, right? How do I create a brand that crosses that? That's a real interesting challenge, right?
And that's a great insight, because that's what you have to constantly think about is the long-term thinking. Marketeers need to take long-term views. Unfortunately, they tend to focus on short-term. I don't want to say too much. There might be a ball about that later.
Fine. Let's go.
You see what I'm doing there?
Fun, yeah, that's fun. I like it.
I'm bridging conversations.
There we go. Okay. Play a support role in the family story or starring role in your own destiny. Definitely supporting role. So again, the question says, would you like to play a support role in the family story or starring role in your own destiny?
Because you are part of a very successful, well-known family.
But I think even as a species, I think that resonates better with us. I think we are pack animals. You know, we're
wolves, a bunch of wolves.
Yeah, basically a bunch of wolves. I just came back from
a wolf hunt.
Well, somewhat. I came back from a great expedition. A bunch of friends and I spent a week free diving in Mexico with whales and dolphins and orcas.
Nice.
Orcas, that was my dream. And then we went to Alaska and camped in Alaska for 2 weeks. And camping when you're not in the desert is a very interesting thing.
It's very different to camping in the UAE.
About bears and wolves and moose. By the way, I had no idea. But I mean, I think it gives you such an appreciation for some of these species. And sorry, just going back to sort of the idea. I like collectivism. Maybe I'm biased because I come out of it, right? And we are a collectivist society. But I think if you look at cultures, and again, anthropologists, I apologize, I'm not an expert here, this is just my take. If you look at societies that have individualized rather drastically, loneliness becomes an issue, depression, anxiety, all of those things come out because I think it's not in our nature. It's in our nature to be like human beings existed in hunter-gatherer groups of like a maximum of 70 for the vast majority of our existence. Our civilization is like such a tiny chunk of that timeline. So I think we're far more attuned at playing a role in a collective rather than being these individual sort of lone wolves. And for me, again, maybe because I'm a middle child, maybe because I have a big family and I've had, alhamdulillah, a great family. I find that resonates with me much more. There is always a price to pay, right? I mean, if you're a collectivist, the individual role dissipates. You always end up doing things you don't feel like doing, like visiting that uncle or, you know, whatever may be the case. But I'm happy to pay that price.
You need to, is it a price?
Yeah, sometimes I do things I don't feel like doing.
Yeah, for the greater good, for the family. But that's at your own expense. But it takes a certain type of person, a strength of character, knowing who you really are inside in order to be able to do that. Because a lot more insecure people would not be super positive about team family when you're referred to, but you know, you've got a famous mom, you've got a famous brother. It's not easy, man. It's not easy. Look,
I mean, I think thankfully I've got family that became famous by virtue of their work, not for the sake of being famous, right?
Correct. Yeah.
When I find
on merit,
hopefully. When I see people hunting fame, I always ask myself, what happened in your childhood? You know, like what kind of hole are you trying to fill? Right, that is an insecurity. That's the ego. That's the inability to set your ego aside and say, "Let's play for the collective." But I think someone who's loved very much or sort of given that level of attention, and has grown to be hopefully a well-balanced, emotionally intelligent person, should be able to say, "I'm willing to put myself aside, you know, for the greater good, for my partner, for my children, for my whatever." Rather than the sort of cutthroat mentality of like me against the world type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like I hate it when people say, "Oh, I was born alone, I die alone." No, you weren't.
Yeah.
Someone gave birth to you. It happened by accident.
So I always think about sort of famous siblings who both are famous. So obviously you have the Nevilles in football.
Yes.
Venus Williams, Serena Williams.
Yes.
I mean, that dynamic. Right. What's your dynamic like with Anas? When you guys are off camera, not just brothers hanging out. What's that dynamic like?
Brothers, man. I think that's like again, like, we're brothers, so we grew up together, all of us, not just Anas, the rest of us as well, all my other brothers. We're very close. We're very honest with each other. We're always looking out for each other, always there for one another. He's seen me through some tough times and stood by my side.
There's a special relationship with brothers.
Absolutely.
So what tough times were you going through that he was standing?
Whatever, it's work-related, relationships, or whatever may be the case.
I've got 2 boys, and my love and my hope is that they're going to become super close. I have a brother. I've got a big brother.
What's the gap between them?
They've got a year and 5 months between them. So fine. They're thick as thieves, those two. And I've got a brother as well, and we're very, very close growing up. But the brother relationship, it's a special dynamic.
It is special.
So you're very lucky, and you've got one sister, right?
One sister, half sister. Yes.
God, is she married?
No. There's 23 years between us.
Okay, but one day, when she wants to bring a guy home to marry, she's got
8 brothers to worry about.
Good luck to that dude. Good luck to him.
We're so lucky. We called her Ghalia, which means precious, because she is precious.
Yeah.
And I had a similar experience. Like my dad at that point, himself had 5 boys until she came around, so he was really excited to have a girl. And then my brother had been married, and he has 2 boys. And then I got married, and when my ex-wife was pregnant, I thought, for sure it's going to be a boy. Like, there's just so many boys in our family. But I was lucky because she didn't actually turn out to be a girl.
Beautiful. I've got 2 boys. I want to have a third. My brother had 3 boys, but I don't think me and him.
He's a good number, though.
Yeah, but I'm seeing what my brother's going through with three boys. I'm out.
Honestly, the only advice I could ever give to anybody, and this may be my own experience, but this is the only advice I'd give, is if you're going to have even 10 kids, have them in a row. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Don't create a gap.
Yeah, but it's easy for us to say that. We're not the ones having
100%. Yeah. Right? 100%.
Yeah, my wife might kill you after this.
No, sorry.
Let's do another question, Joe.
Let's go.
How many have we done so far? We've done 3?
Yeah, we've done 3. Next question says, has AI increased or decreased the significance of the CMO role in companies?
Okay, before you answer, a lot of people are worried, if you're in marketing, that the likes of the CEOs, CFOs are saying, why do we need now a marketeer to lead 1, 2, 3? Unless ChatGPT can build a strategy, can deliver. Yeah. We just need a few operational people. There's others people thinking it's going to really help improve overall marketing performance. But it takes a very smart organization to understand that. So where do you lie? Where do you sit?
I think, of all the jobs that AI is going to take, and it will probably take, which, by the way, I don't think is a bad thing. We can talk about that in a second. I think jobs that require inspiration are going to be the last. Right? That's the hardest thing for AI, because that takes consciousness, and we don't even know what consciousness is. Right? So until we get to the point where, yes, I think teams will get smaller, systems get leaner, your time to market will get shorter, your costs will go down 100%, all of those things. But the starting point is inspiration, right? Anybody who uses ChatGPT knows exactly what I'm talking about. ChatGPT is the smartest intern you're ever going to have in your life, right? Sitting right there, ready to help you with anything and everything that you could think of, right? Or any other LLM for that matter. But you still need a prompt. Like, you still need to know what you're asking for, and you need to be able to say, when you get that answer, is it good or bad, right? That's where we are today. So 100% it hasn't decreased in my experience whatsoever. In fact, I think it's taken us a level higher, because I can turn things around really fast. And all I need is an idea. I don't need to send a production crew to take some photos for a pitch deck. I can just use Midjourney or whatever else to generate that. Time to deliver is definitely shorter. A lot of the jobs that we needed full-time employees for probably won't need them. Artworking, translations, that type of role. And there will be loss. 100% there will be loss. I do think it elevates the overall industry. Like, if I take a factory, right? People that work on the assembly line will probably be replaced. In fact, they will definitely be replaced. Right? That's the easiest job to replace with robots. There's this great, I think it was like a coal mine or something in China that's 100% robot run.
It's human free.
Human free. The robots charge themselves, they get back to work and work 24 hours a day at zero cost, right? That's a no-brainer for any business owner.
That's impressive.
Which is maybe the extreme example. But if we take it into marketing and the world that we operate in, I think, yes, again, the menial type of work that doesn't require ideas, inspiration, sort of that higher level of thinking will disappear. But maybe I'm lucky enough to be a CMO, so that.
So you're not worried about your role, about CMOs in the future, because, like I said, you got some CFOs out there, and they're the ones seemingly calling the shots internally because they can manage the cost of organization.
By the way, I think there are other jobs that you'd have to be far more worried about. Legal, lawyers.
Yeah, I had a guy called John Sane on the show, season 3. He told me 3 professions in the next 18 months, 24 months are out: lawyers, accountants, consultants.
Yeah. By the way, like I've used, for fun, right? I put Gemini, ChatGPT, and XAI or Grok to the test.
Try DeepSeek.
DeepSeek I played around with as well. But this was pre-DeepSeek. And I wanted to create like a consultancy I used to be a management consultant myself. And then I was also with the government of Dubai, the executive council set up something called the consulting office, which was sort of a create your own consultancy within. But I was seconded to the Prime Minister's office for the majority of that time. So I come from that world, and to some extent. And so I just said, you know what? I know exactly what a management consultancy deck looks like, but let's pretend like I don't. So let me use each one of them to generate a piece of research, a presentation. Man, it was pretty
Try another one. Try gamma.app.
Okay.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's got everything. Basically, use a prompt of ChatGPT, copy paste into Gamma as a text input. And then you basically tell it, do you want detailed slides, how many slides, with the coloring, the layout, the visualizations. You can change all the images that they'll change. And then 5 minutes, from the minute you do the first prompt on ChatGPT to exporting into gamma.app, you have a beautiful presentation.
Wow.
Beautiful.
I will try that.
Check it out.
I've been playing with the Notebook Allam. Have you tried that?
No, I haven't tried it.
So the beautiful thing about Notebook Allam is it doesn't go outside the perimeter of the information you feed it. So like you go on ChatGPT today, you say, what's the best podcast in the region? Obvious, right? Obvious answer. Yeah. What's the worst podcast in the region? That's the question you ask. And you say, and I've heard of, these and that, and let's check these countries. It will use your prompt as a starting point, and then go outside and on all the data that's sort of been trained on, will give you an answer, which 99% of the time is what you're looking for. There are situations where I don't want it to be going outside the remit of what I give it. So Notebook is really useful for what? Let's say financial analysts, I think this is a good example. They'll pick up like analyst reports and annual reports and whatever, like 500 documents. You upload all of that onto Notebook Allam. It'll read through it, and then all your prompts are then confined to that data set.
Love it.
Right, so it's quite useful if you have something very specific. And then it has a really cool feature, which I did for my team. So we're looking at crisis comms, right? So I collected all these PDFs, all crisis comms, blah, blah, whatever, put it up on Notebook. And I said, okay, now you're the expert on crisis comms. They have this feature where it will generate a podcast, an AI-generated podcast of 2 people talking about the topic, but it just makes it conversational, and it just makes it much more digestible by everyone. I sent it to the team, and they loved it. I mean, it just became such an easier way to learn.
I'm really depressed right now.
Well, it's not as good as you, obviously.
Oh, Habibi, look at it's that off-the-cuff charm. It's that creative questioning.
It's useful. Yeah. It's useful for like long-form content in a digestible way.
Very nice.
Yeah.
On that note, should we digestibly move on to the next ball?
Let's go. Next question says, bottom funnel minimum guarantee versus top funnel with open potential. I mean, it's got to be both, right?
Off camera, I told you, try not to lean.
Pick a side?
Yeah, because like there's always been an element of both, but a bottom funnel guarantee or top funnel open potential.
Depends what you're running. Are you running a very generic, highly saturated, highly competitive, no barriers to entry type of brand?
Do it from your own intuition and your own perspective as a marketer.
Let's take healthcare, right? You could do healthcare versus Bic lighters.
Bic lighters?
Yeah, those lighters, right?
That's so random.
I'm just coming up with something like chewing gum. Let's go chewing gum.
Okay.
Right? Even easier.
Okay.
Chewing gum is not a considered decision.
No, it's an impulse buy.
Right? You're at the petrol station, you're, picking something
Enoch
up.
petrol station?
Enoch petrol stations.
Look at that.
Good plug there. And you're like, oh, let me pick that up, right? So your decision-making time frame is next to nothing.
Point of sales, right there.
And you're competing with Orbit and Wrigley's and all these guys, right? And the customer almost never cares about which brand's which. They just pick it up, right? In that kind of environment, I'd say lower funnel makes a lot more sense because you're not building a long-term brand, right? You're building something that needs to be high frequency, low margin business, right? Whereas I think if you're building a healthcare brand, you can't play the short-term game. In fact, it's incredibly stupid. It'll be incredibly foolish if you do that, because I think banks, insurance, healthcare, even oil and gas to some extent, are trust-based brands, right? That your make it or break it is the trust that you earn, right? This hospital has been around for 150 years. Moorfields Eye Hospital has been around for X. Why? Not because it's, I mean, in the end, you're going to see a doctor and that doctor is going to treat you, but the institution, the brand that institution carries has to be built over a long period of time with consistent success. Mm. That's a top funnel game, right? Yes, I do.
So I would. I'm going to argue.
Interesting. Let's go.
I'm going to challenge you. So 2020, COVID hit. Yeah. There was a very famous TVC. They were still building them back then. It was 2021 when it came out, done by Wrigley's.
Okay.
And it was about how people haven't seen each other for such a long time, because obviously they've been doing the distancing, and they were trying to promote basically people to kiss. It's been such a long time, right?
Love it.
And they did this massive sort of production element, and it captured the feel-good nature of what everyone was experiencing in the UK at the time.
Right.
And it was I'll play it to you afterwards.
Yeah, please.
Beautiful ad, beautiful production, and it was like. And a chewing gum it captured a sentiment of a country and allow people to feel, you know what, let's go out and meet each other and make out. Okay, maybe not appropriate for the UAE, but the idea is there.
I think that's a great example. I take your point. Maybe.
So I think storytelling came, and I think unfortunately I've seen a lot of clients who are performance driven. Banks, insurance companies, Visa, MasterCard, long-term partners. Emirates NBD, man. When you open an account with Emirates NBD, you're not going to change after 3 years.
No,
you're going to be there for 20 years.
Yeah,
that's a long-term play. As is insurance companies.
Always you want to mix of both. Always you want to build a long-term plan, which essentially is a top funnel conversation. Sorry, maybe I should have used a different example than chewing gums, because I take your point. I think there's still a brand to be built for Wrigley's and the rest of them. If I was brands for less, brands for less, right? Discount stores.
Yes.
There's, people frequenting that type of brand or that kind of store are not interested in long-term brand play. They're a cost-based.
It's almost like a utility.
It's a utility, right? Yeah. So in that kind of environment, yes, I would say go lower funnel, stick to effective tactical type of campaigns. You're not building something long-term. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, maybe there's a space for brands for less to build a brand personality. But I think it would make a lot more sense to shift that weight more towards a lower funnel, whereas banks, telecoms, healthcare, and in fact, maybe most other industries, there's a role for long-term brand planning, right?
There is absolutely that, but they tend to focus on the here and the now, the short-term guarantees.
It's like this quarterly result culture we have.
Even monthly sometimes. I mean, like, look, I used to had one of, I'm not going to name the name, but we had a client who I fired. I don't fire clients. We fired, it was a bank, okay? Because of every day they were calling up my team and screaming at them because they weren't selling enough. There weren't becoming enough leads that were converting. It became a daily ritual, not a weekly or a monthly, because they were under so much pressure as a culture to sell credit cards, to sell more loans. Yeah. And it was like, but just give us a second. It's not, there was no patience in it. And I'm worried that, and a lot of people left. They were crying, they left, they resigned. They couldn't take it anymore. It got to a point where I literally had to fire the client, and I told them the reason. And I think they appreciated the honesty, but they weren't expecting it.
It's irregular.
Yeah, but it annoys me because it's like you have a real potential to play a long term here, but a lot of the time organizations are driven by short term metrics.
They are, and I empathize because I'm in a similar situation myself. We are a public company. I have targets and KPIs that I need to meet.
We all do.
But I think it's your ability, if you're a CMO or a soon-to-be CMO, it's your ability and your finesse in convincing your leadership team as to what that proportion is going to be. Like, hold me accountable for this proportion of my spend. This proportion of my spend is my playground, right? This is where I'm going to build a long-term brand. This is where I'm going to create a voice or a personality for my brand. I'm not going to create a personality for my brand because I said, book your annual checkup with us on, at this clinic.
But the challenge you have is the average tenure of a CEO globally is around 3 years or even less. They're not in it.
I'm lucky we're founder run.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. By the way, as a marketeer, how would you promote a podcast? How would you do it if you were going to approach it from a brief perspective?
I think, it's an interesting challenge, right? Because we've gone from virtually no podcasts in the world to I think the average per capita is I don't remember the number, but it's surprisingly high. So there's a lot of podcasts, right?
Do you know that the country that has the highest penetration of adult listenership to podcasts, you know what that is? Saudi Arabia.
I'm not surprised.
Do you know what number 2 is? UAE.
Not surprised.
Yeah. Do you know where podcasters are now going towards? YouTube. Where's YouTube highest penetration? UAE first, Saudi Arabia number 2. So these markets are rife, and also it's a business-like audience, affluent, well-educated. This is the perfect region to be in it, but not a lot of people are promoting podcasts from the mainstream. We've actually did that ourselves as Luca's Inside Track. We have some friends on media from the old days, and we run a few campaigns, and it was weird because you've got bottom or sort of low-level kind of content going mainstream.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, it's been the big brands trying to now tap into the sort of the.
I think
so things are starting to change, right?
But I think the model is the same, no? I think let's analyze the overall space. If there were no podcasts, you can make a podcast about anything, and it could work. But if there's a lot of podcasts, you need to find a niche. So that's the first thing, right? Is to know your niche, and it's like building a brand. Like, what does your brand stand for? What kind of audience do I want to attract? What kind of segmentation do I need to do? And then you're in the game of content. So your content has to be your hero. And it's the same model as any advertising campaign that you do, right? You create creative hooks, which are short form social content or something to that effect. And that attracts people to your long form. It's same model, different vehicle.
Yeah. Let's find another creative hook.
Let's go.
In the next question.
Let's go.
Mate, you're on a roll, Moadh. Is that good?
Moadh.
It's like Moadh.
Man, call me whatever you want. Honestly, I have such a rare name. Any Arab-speaking
I've been practicing as well. That's the thing. I thought I was doing a good job.
It's hard because the A is in the middle.
Moadh.
Like if it's Abdullah.
Yeah, Abdullah.
It's easier.
Yeah.
Because you start with.
So one more time. Say it again.
Moadh.
Moadh.
The A, I think, it's hard, man. I empathize.
My wife is laughing at me off camera.
She's Arabic speaker, so
she's always laughing at me. Mate, she abuses me as a husband.
I'm pretty sure it's
help, please. Zebra.
The question is, the agency makes the client, or does the client make the agency? It's got to be like we're just talking about you being married, right? It's the same thing. Like you influence her, she influences you. You end up being. Well, she influences you more. Maybe.
Yeah. Zebra.
Like maybe in a client agency relationship, it's not that similar to like a human relationship dynamic, because in that there's a very clear buyer and seller, right?
Master servant. But we're talking about does the agency make the client? In the sense of
not in my experience.
Can they make them a better client?
I wish.
Or does the client make the agency a better agency?
Definitely, I'd like to think that I've helped agencies become better. I've definitely seen a lot of agencies that taught me a bunch of things. So hopefully they made me better as well. This one's one of those that is, you're going to hate me because I can't really pick a side.
I think you kind of have. I think you are picking. It's the client that makes the agency.
It's a dynamic,
So let me tell you of some of my experience, and I think it is the client that makes the agency. So 2014, I was a PhD, and we were pitching Unilever, digital. The digital business was up for pitch. PhD back then, there weren't that many big clients. We didn't have that many big clients. When we won Unilever, everything changed.
It's a game changer. Right?
Everything changed. All of a sudden, we would recruit great talent. We would be able to win other businesses because we say, we work with Unilever. And the whole trajectory of the agency changed from 2014 all the way, for the next best part of the decade, which was an amazing success. And it made us raise our game because not just Unilever, I've worked with so many brilliant clients. They challenge you, they push you, they demand excellence. It's like a football coach. Right? If they come into a new club, they want their own players, their own team. But if they are if they've assumed that role and they've been working with this agency for years, but they're new to that role, they'll want to push and test, and that's what makes the agency raise their game. And I really feel like
I do agree with that.
The challenges the agency have are typically the briefs that clients give are terrible.
Yeah.
No.
I totally agree with.
Terrible.
I totally agree.
They're lacking clarity. They're lacking imagination, lacking inspiration.
Yeah.
There's no passion in the brief. And what that ends produces is the same copy-paste work. The same media plans were being done in 2020 as they were in 2024. In 4 years, it was the same media plan. Same targets, same objectives. Actually, no, the targets got harder because they always do. Let's face it, clients are not nice. They want more volume for less. But the media plan would still be the copy-paste because the brief was the same. And the other dynamic that really used to bother me a lot is that, and I have a friend of mine who says this all the time, clients, the contract with clients and agencies, okay? The contract is like that thick, it's massive.
Yeah.
There's only two things that the client has to do for the agency, and everything else is by the agency for the client.
Yeah.
Those two things, a brief, pay us on time. That's it. They don't even do both. Yeah. And that's been the problem for this market and other way.
I totally agree with that.
So it will make or break the agency both good and bad.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge.
It's interesting, right? I mean, I think there's a few things I'd like to unpack in that, because I think this is such a critical conversation to be had. One, I'm a big fan of the agency is only as good as the brief that you give them, right? And this is a common issue that I've faced, that my colleagues in the industry face, and something that I constantly have to come to terms with and try to find solutions for is briefing. That for me is a middle management weakness, right? The middle management isn't passionate enough, isn't knowledgeable enough, isn't putting the extra effort, they're overstretched, whatever it is, but they aren't managing the briefing process as thoroughly as they should. One of the biggest challenges any CMO has is dealing with procurement, our own procurement. And not for any good or bad reason. Procurement professionals in general are either come from IT procurement or like hardware procurement, right? They're not there for creative services type procurement. So that's always a challenge where either I have to spend an enormous amount of time to educate my procurement team on how to structure deals, how to structure evaluations and tenders and so on. Or it becomes a very generic thing. So that ends up happening, right? The agency gets a brief that's really, right? It's tasteless. So anyway, I met this agency. Their job is to do that for you.
Is to take a brief and spice it up.
They'll do everything.
That's beautiful.
I love the idea.
It's a great idea.
Because, they come from agencies, from media agencies. They come from media agencies because that's where you can make maybe the most impact on cost. And they call themselves an consultancy agency, but essentially this is one of the main things that they do, aside from a bunch of other things, is they'll come to you and say, what are your challenges? Like, I'll give you one of the things that we're working on. We're a big group, right? We've got a lot of group companies. One of the things that we can do to add value is to create framework agreements or group deals, right? So I can go to Publicis or I can go to McCann or whoever and say, look, I know this one of my companies is too small for you. You're never going to accept them as a client because they can't afford your retainers and they don't have the volumes. But if I'm able to pool all of that together, then I can create something useful. So that was the first driver. And then, I've done this before, so I've made mistakes before, and I don't want to have it all under one agency because then you don't have option B, and it's a bit of a challenge. And some of our group companies have different nature of businesses, so some agencies might. But anyway, what they do is, so I'm in a very complex situation because I have to come up with framework agreements. I need the KPIs for each entity. There's a lot to be done there. So what these guys can do is they'll come in, they'll draft the RFP alongside you. They'll work with your procurement team. Everything goes through your procurement team. And then they'll help you do the evaluations, the appointment, and then the KPIs they set into the contract, they'll monitor and ensure that media is being delivered, you're getting your receipts, you're getting your invoices, you're getting charged the right rates for the remainder of the contract, right? Which I thought, genius, right? Because you've taken a huge pain that I face in every organization that I've worked for, and the procurement team is going to be really happy because actually you're saving everyone a lot of money, right? I'm now being able to get rebates. I'm now able to get things that actually you didn't deliver that piece of work, or you did, right? And I can manage that in a much more efficient way. And in the end, it's like an auditor because it's a third party that's evaluating. It's not my opinion, right? And so it takes all of the sketchiness out of it.
Yeah, very good.
That was a great idea.
Very nice.
Next one?
Next one, mate. How many do you have left? One or two?
Two. Build a purposeless brand loved by millions? Oh, I know the answer to this. Or a purposeful brand for the few? I mean, I'd have to pick for a few, man. I think that's...
It's all about purpose, huh?
For me, like, I think it's hard to be passionate if you're doing something tasteless.
What's the most purposeful brand out there?
Oof.
Can't say anywhere that you've worked or currently working, of course. So I'm helping you out.
Tough one. Oh, that is a tough question. Most purposeful brand. The problem is you don't know if they're being authentic because they're all public companies and they have commercial targets. So you never know if they're just playing a game. I don't know, actually. Genuinely don't know. I think there's a few examples like Tom's Shoes, and you've got the giving movement here out of the UAE. You've got a few, but even that, right? Maybe I'm a bit skeptical now, I'm getting older. But these sort of purposeful social entrepreneurship type of startups only emerged because the consumer is conscious now. There's the rise of the conscious consumer.
Very true.
So it's not like they came out thinking they're holier than thou and they have this great, social mission. And maybe they did, I don't know, But also, it's like any cult, it sort of starts incredibly idealistic and everything, and gets...
Then the money men take over.
And then the Rolls Royce...
The investors start. Shareholders are like, oh, maybe we need that.
And you really saw this in COVID, right? And it really pissed me off. Like every brand tried to be a purposeful brand because they couldn't sell anything.
You went American there, I like that. A purposeful brand.
Yeah, well, I went to an American school, American university.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it really pissed me off because I thought, how disingenuous, right? And all of these CMOs, including myself, to be fair, couldn't sell tactical campaigns anymore because no one's buying, right? And people are stuck at home and things like that. So yeah, let's do like some feel-good stuff.
It's very fickle, right?
Stay strong.
It blows with the wind, right? So whatever sort of trending at the time.
Looking back, yeah, right? So I think that's so unauthentic. Right? It's like, oh, there's a trend, let's jump on it. It's not something, you're not creating your own brand, you're just piggybacking off, a wave that's...
the thing is, the sad thing is, Moadh.
It works.
Moadh. Thank you. Just much easier. After 12 years, you finally told me that. The brands that are most purposeful, the ones you don't know about. They're not celebrated. So I had a lady here, she's the founder and managing director of Goombuk. They're a social enterprise around sustainability, and they've been in the region for a long, long time, launching campaigns, fighting the good fight. They do make a bit of money, but she is unbelievably passionate about what she's doing, and it's everything that she does is about trying to restore future generations and celebrate humanity now.
Love it.
To put people first. So, but again, they're not well celebrated. They're not well known, and that's the shame. And it's like all the little coffee shop around the corner where they give everything that they do goes to helping a cause out in Gaza or whatever the case is. So, but you don't hear about them. And then
I like that.
But that's when social media can really help, right? That's the benefits of social media. When done correctly, someone will take a photo, not that they're pushing it out there, they record something, and then all of a sudden that mum and dad shop becomes an overnight success. And
Dubai chocolate is a great example, right?
Yes, you're paying it forward. You're paying it forward but you're doing it from a genuine place.
I mean, I think there are some great examples of that. One thing I saw that was quite lovely. Have you had Mama Ish? Is it an Ish place?
No.
I have a couple
yes, it's around here. It's around the corner. It's a Palestinian place.
Palestinian place.
Yes, I went
and
there.
There's one closer to my house in Bersha. So as soon as the Gaza situation kicked off, I noticed that every time I go and pick up some food from Mama Ish, I speak to the person there that's either baking or preparing the food. I said, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "Oh, I'm from Gaza, or I'm from Haifa, or I'm from wherever." I said, "Like, what's it?" Said, "No, actually, there were a lot of Palestinians that, like in my case, I had brought my mother here for some health-related reasons. Okay. And war, broke off back home, and we got stuck here. And the owner of Mama Ish took it upon himself, being a Palestinian, to look after all the stranded Palestinians here and gave them jobs.
It's amazing.
Which I thought, like, I'm going to be a customer for life.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Just for that.
Yeah.
And didn't shout about it, didn't cry about it, didn't put it on social, didn't do anything, right? Which again, that's like the authenticity thing,
Love
right?
That.
And we come from a culture where, like they say, if you give charity, your left hand shouldn't know what your right hand does, right? So that is an important element of it, because it should come from here. It shouldn't. You shouldn't do it for, look at me.
For getting something back,
money, right? I mean, I'm a fan of that. Maybe you're right. They don't get the recognition they deserve, but maybe that's why they deserve recognition. That's
Love that. That's a nice little reel right now.
We should end now, right? We should just stop.
But we have a question about procurement. This is the last one about procurement. Here we go.
Does marketing lead procurement, or does procurement lead marketing?
Be honest.
I mean, I'm biased here.
Be honest.
For me, marketing has to be procurement. I mean, I think there's just no question about it.
It's just nonsense, though.
If I listen to all my procurement guys, my techno-commercial split will be 99-1. You know?
Take a general rule of thumb in the UAE, in the region, across the world.
Does it or should it is the question.
Does.
Oh, it does is another matter.
Does procurement lead marketing? Well, here's what I found. Thanks for that. Thanks, Siri. Does procurement lead marketing, or does marketing lead procurement?
Status quo?
Yes.
Depends which company.
Oh, you know what the answer is.
I try to find, I hope, we've been client agency in the past. I hope to think that, your dynamic with us was not entirely procurement led.
It wasn't back then, but procurement has become more important because I feel, controversial or not, CMOs don't have the same narrative as they once did. Really? They don't have the same sway as they once did.
No, they don't. Because
and inside the organization, the structure is different. Where before, marketing should be the central function of the company.
Yeah.
Now it's a vertical.
Yeah.
It's not a horizontal.
No, you're right. And I think that leads to another conversation of the role being fragmented into user experience or customer experience, and you've got data and insights, and you've got market research, and all those things used to sit under a CMO's remit. They don't anymore, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. It just means that CMOs need to be good at working across.
You need to share, stakeholder management for one thing, storytelling internally, but you need to have the ear of the CEO. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, in business, you've got two levers, as you're well aware. You make money, you save costs. CFOs come along, they can guarantee saving costs. Yeah. Marketeers can't guarantee making money. And that's where, when the chips are down, times are hard, the CFOs are the ones who call the shots, procurement reports on the CFO, and everything becomes cost-driven.
It's funny, I'll say two things here. I think one, to my fellow procurement colleagues, genuinely, I say this totally honestly, I found them to be well-meaning individuals that want to do the job right.
They're lovely people.
And it's not just that. I think if you're able to tick their boxes, which are very clear boxes, by the way, there's a procurement policy, just read it. If you follow what happens in the policy, they're like auditors, they're like accountants, right? If you just follow process, you'll be all right. And if there's something wrong with the process, generally I found them to be open to, like I came in to one of the organizations and the techno-commercial split was 50-50, which is fine if I'm buying pencils, but when I'm purchasing creative services or campaign ideas, I mean, that 50-50 is going to give the agency that undercuts their pitch a huge unfair advantage.
Look,
right?
I think, procurement, the job is to try and save money for the organization. Problem is, marketeers are the ones who will feel that, because what agencies will do is they will give you the cheapest service, the cheapest team, deliver very bad quality work on a consistent basis, and then you're the guys who have to deal with it. And then guess what? Next time you call a pitch because you're not happy, procurement's like, great, amazing, we're going to make some more savings, and the whole cycle repeats itself. That's been the challenge. Look, I once received a bill of quantities sheet.
Nice.
Right? It had building material on there from a media agency creative pitch. Yeah. It happened twice.
This is my point, right? I mean,
it was BOQ, and I was like, what the hell is a BOQ? And I Googled it, and I found out, actually, no, they're talking about bill of quantities. So, okay. So again, it's that education piece around what does the service that agencies typically provide?
Look, I mean, I think, again, right, for me, I think as one of the most important internal relationships are me and the chief of procurement or the head of procurement. That relationship is so important to maintain in a positive way, because then we can have a conversation about how do we procure for marketing versus, getting IT hardware or whatever, right? I will mention maybe one story I had. Maybe I shouldn't mention his name. Maybe he wouldn't want me to. But I had a CEO, great CEO.
Well, tell us his name then. If he was a great CEO, what was his name?
It's just internal information. Anyway, I will say it. If we get in trouble, I apologize. It's a good thing, I promise. So I was at Emirates NBD. I joined Emirates NBD January 2020. I was about 6 weeks into the job. COVID hits, right? And naturally, to your point, the first thing that gets cut It's a marketing budget. It's like, what are you marketing for? Right? Like people are at home, they're stuck. You're going to shrink, maybe just spend on digital. He took our CEO, who continues to be the group CEO, Mr. Shane Nelson, a great guy and great fisherman, made it a point to contain and control and safeguard our marketing budget. Didn't take a dime off.
Who was your agency at the time? Publicis?
We had both Publicis and FP7.
They must have been delighted with you.
They were delighted. But I mean, we obviously had to shift and pivot the way we market, naturally, because the world had changed. And it wasn't the time to be hard selling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think your point is clear, right? That if you've got a good CEO who's got your back, there's nothing greater.
Yeah, and the agency will do better work because they're not the cheapest, but they're actually being able to deliver quality. I mean, the whole triangle of like speed, cost, and quality. Clients want all three all the time. It just doesn't work. So procurement, you decide. You want to have low cost, you're going to compromise on quality, or you're going to compromise on speed. It's up to you.
I mean, I'll take it back to one of the initial points we had when we started. I said, you can run 100 campaigns and 100 of them can be useless.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to be very strongly opinionated on the fact that you pay for talent. That's the game we play. Yeah. Right? It's like a football team. I can get 11 players, from some random league that nobody knows about, and my team will suck and we'll get relegated. But if I want the top players, the Thierry Henrys, the whatever, then you got to pay that price, right? You got to pay for the talent. 100%. And it's not any different in marketing. You want the best agency, you want good work, pay for it. You want crap work? That's fine. Those are there too. And you can pay a fraction of the cost, but you won't get the quality that you're... Now, thankfully, there are some boutique agencies that always prove me wrong. And I've been really lucky to see and work with some of them. I don't want to plug any names, but there are some great locally born and otherwise small to medium-sized agencies in the country that I find to be just remarkable.
Yeah. I've got another name for you. I'll tell you off camera. The final ball that I give is a blank. Ooh. It can be a final insight that you would like to share, or a final question that you would like to pose. The power is yours, my friend.
Oh man, I should have thought about this. Here's one thing that's quite interesting, I'll say. One of the biggest challenges for anyone working in marketing in this country is like the ideal situation for anyone running a brand or running a marketing department or managing client side is you have a clear product or service or a proposition. You have a clear audience segment, and the less variation you have in both of those elements, the better. So the less products I have and the more niche my audience, the better brand I can build. Mm-hmm. Like banks, I can give you an example for the bank, right? The bank is one of the hardest jobs I've ever had because you need to build a brand that resonates with 16-year-old students and 60-year-old billionaires, right? Like, how do you build a brand that resonates with both? What ends up happening is you have to take it a higher level and it becomes generic, right? The higher you go, the more generic it becomes. So that is constantly the challenge. Whereas we had Live Bank, if you're familiar with Live Bank, it's Emirates NBD's Live digital bank.
Okay.
Because it had such a niche audience. When it started, it was targeted at millennials, which are today's Gen Zs. But when it started as let's focus on the 18 to 24-year-olds. We're going to create a lifestyle brand, a lifestyle bank, and we'll speak to them in their language. And it became a far more interesting, far more achievable job of building a brand because you had the niche, right? Which presents not just a difficult challenge for any brand with more than one audience segment or more than one product service line, but in this country, you're not even speaking one language. Mm-hmm. You're not even speaking to one culture. Like if this country was 80% Emiratis, let's say, right? I can build a brand that resonates with all Emiratis because I know what Emiratis like and how they speak and what they resonate with and what kind of stories I can tell and what kind of content I can generate. Now, if I told you, do the same thing, but you have 200 nationalities, of which none of them represent a majority. It's not easy, man. It goes down to really silly details sometimes. Like we'll do like call centers, call center recordings. How many languages do you pick?
Yeah.
Let's say, I'll do all English and Arabic. Yeah, but there's a huge...
Where are the call centers?
Emirates NBD, I think, still maintains all of them in the country, to my understanding. Okay. At least the UAE-based operations.
So your final insight, what is that? So if you were to summarize...
Final insight is Dubai is a much harder market to job than any others. The UAE in particular. No, because we have 200 nationalities in this country.
I get it.
Such a transient culture as well. Such transient population. People come and go all the time.
But the harder the brief, the more creative you need to be with cracking that brief. So you've got a tough brief.
Yeah.
Imagine I'm the client giving you the agency the brief, and the brief is crack the UAE, crack Dubai. It's not easy. You need good people with you, but as long as you have that focus, you know what your values are from a purpose-driven approach, brand building approach. Stop sweating the bottom funnel stuff. Think about the bigger picture. You got half a chance.
Inshallah.
Mate, it's been a real pleasure chatting, talking. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the mug, honestly.
We'll revisit this conversation at the end of the season.
Perhaps. But look, real great seeing you again. Pleasure, Wish you all the very best at Pure Health. It's been great, mate. It's been great. And if you've liked this conversation, please like, subscribe, share, drop a comment, do what you like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon on Luca's Inside Track. Look at that.